If you know your adversary and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the adversary, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. That's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. In 2009, a little while ago, people connected to the Tufton Street network punched the world in the gut. I was at the Copenhagen climate talks that December in the eye of the storm, organising dozens of campaigns, vigils, protests, doing what I could. And if we had won, it would only have been a start. But we lost badly. All that year, right-wing elites blitzed us with AstroTurf campaigns like the Tea Party in the US, fossil fuel lobbying all around the world, black ops like the ClimateGate hack of the climate scientists' emails. The lesson was clear. We needed to know the other side better. Matthew Elliott is one of the architects of 55 Tufton Street. It was from this very building that he built the so-called Taxpayers Alliance, an AstroTurf group which opposed renewables targets, called for abolition of the climate change levy and air passenger duty, and partnered with US climate denialists. What did Matthew Elliott do next? I think many of you know. He set up Vote Leave, teaming up with Dominic Cummings to crash the UK out of the EU with sketchy big data and micro-targeted ads. But what's the link? Well, there's good reason to believe that many of the self-styled sovereign individuals who designed Brexit were motivated, at least in part, by the appeal of shock doctrine economics, and that their fever dreams included the desire to dance around a huge bonfire of climate regulations. How do I know this? I worked with David Cameron's shoeless guru and Brexiteer Steve Hilton for a while on a big data and crowdfunding platform. That was before he went all in on his Fox News show. I've met with both Matthew Elliott and Dominic Cummings in the past, and I did play a role in investigating and exposing Cambridge Analytica. By the way, just minutes ago, I don't know how many of you have heard this story yet. I read on The Guardian that a data specialist recruited to the civil service following Dominic Cummings' call for weirdos and misfits to work for the UK government was sacked after posting on social media this summer that police should use live rounds against Black Lives Matter demonstrators. Here now are some new and mostly unpublished facts about Matthew Elliott, Vote Leave and Cambridge Analytica. A few years ago, Matthew became a partner at a US firm called Awareness Analytics Partners, A2P. It was set up by a top aide to Dick Cheney, formerly of Halliburton, with an operative for the oil billionaires, the Koch brothers. A2P siphoned a database called Angler, fishing reference, out of Facebook, which contained almost 115 million people's profiles. Angler does sound remarkably similar to the illicit Cambridge Analytica dataset, except that it was almost 50% larger. It's no wonder that Alexander Nix had negotiated to acquire Angler for his oligarch-funded campaigns, as I found, and it's no wonder that the CTO of Vote Leave and another of its key operatives had worked for Alexander Nix in his shady Caribbean adventures. It's probably no accident that this all seems just a little bit incestuous. I'm just going to read a short excerpt from the end of my Open Democracy piece about this investigation, giving some of the backstory to the secret recordings in the Great Hack. You might have spotted me there somewhere in Thailand on a speedboat. We hated this guy. He's far right-wing. He's, fascist, Alexander Nix says of his own candidate in the US. What about Brexit? We don't talk about that, he says knowingly. His apprentice Brittany Kaiser adds ironically, oops, we won. Nix compares his strategy to a marketing campaign selling Coca-Cola in a movie theatre. Instead of working on adverts, just turn up the temperature. Get the viewers hot and bothered. They'll buy more Coke. This perspective can be traced back to Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, who wrote, "In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by a relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind." Nix's hero. Nix gleefully claims of another campaign in which the son of a billionaire African former liberation leader covertly funded the youth movement, which then drafted him as their candidate for president. "We created everything. We created a need that didn't exist." A year after this recording was made in Mexico, Nix was negotiating an abortive acquisition deal with Martin Sorrell's WPP conglomerate of advertising and marketing firms. In January 2018, he finally raised almost 20 million for a new company called Emerdata with the support of new Chinese and Gulf investors, alongside US hedge funder Robert Mercer. It's in the papers. Johnson Co., the Chinese state-linked business partner of American right-wing mercenary Eric Prince, briefly joined the board of Emerdata. It sounds like a James Bond movie, doesn't it? But it's real life. This is just how they do business. There's no question that Cambridge Analytica's tactics were at least somewhat effective in pulling those wires which control the public mind. But they were far from alone, and this is the bigger story. A global underworld of manipulators and power brokers treated 2016 as a playground of opportunities, just as they are doing in 2020. Central players in the subversion of our societies live in the West, have their companies listed on our stock exchanges, and attend the conferences of the global elite, Davos included. Most of them still seem to be operating with impunity. Nix describes in his pitch how to suppress voter turnout by starting a fake anti-establishment youth movement in Trinidad called Do So. He says how much more effective it is to protect a private beach from trespassers, not by just saying it's private, but with a sign that says, "Sharks, keep out." The reality is that we live in a world that is under siege by many kinds of sharks, from the financial markets and the oil barons to Silicon Valley and the White House, and number 10 Downing Street too. Their ultimate goal, as Will was saying earlier, is to get us to keep out of politics. We won't keep out, will we? We investigate. We protest. We bark. We organize. We rebel. This is not about the 52% and the 48%. This is about the 99% and the 1%, or the 0.01%. As Shelley once said, we are many, they are few. We will assemble as citizens to chart a different course. We will vote, we will legislate, we will build a 100% clean, sustainable and flourishing society, rich in everything that really matters: joy, love, connection, and a new and deeper kind of freedom that the people who work in this building have never even dreamt of. Yet, and together we will